Hello, ladies and gentlemen, I'm StepsBasic, and welcome back to the Comfy Cozy Community Show. I have been scolded soundly, mostly because the last few topics I've chosen for this show have been a little off topic, a little bit outside of my niche, as it were, and I have been told that I need to keep it to myself or pop culture stuff or the channel related stuff, and I'm like, okay, fine. Now of course people are going to be like, well, who told you that? Isn't it your channel? I'm like, well, yes, but at the same time I'm trying to grow it, which means I want to try to keep it consistent and within its niche, which is unfortunate. But because I do like talking about just random things sometimes, and that is very much a me thing. But starting a whole series on how debate should work is a little bit weird for a gaming channel, and I can understand that. It's not exactly within the same wheelhouse, and I do have a few friends and stuff who have been enjoying the idea of it. Like as I pointed out last week, my friend Creeper King there, longtime channel friend of mine there, and so as such, I did want to keep going at least until I finish the series. I do have a couple more topics within it that I think I can touch on still, and specifically, we have our comments from the last week. We're going to go ahead and read all the comments from the last week. Well, most of the comments from the last week. So first of all, on the last video, we had our friend, whataboutism is also a really bad tactic that's pretty common. Yeah, the Creeper King. Oh my God. I detest that, because the biggest problem with it is that it detracts from the topic at hand by just pointing to another situation that's really bad, or another person who does really bad things, and saying, what about that? What about them? What about this? The whataboutism. It's very frustrating because it's a distraction tactic in debate. It's not an actual debate style, not an actual debate tactic, but people use it far too often, especially these days. It's like, what about them? What about them? What about them? And of course, this is another one of those that everybody's kind of guilty of. I say everybody, of course, not everybody, but generally people involved within debate tactics and whatnot. They always use the point over there. The rest of the comments are all from my shorts, so embrace your mistakes. We had somebody comment, ¿Dónde da penado? Was a reference. I'm thinking it was a reference to a song. Where the guy kind of looked like me. It was kind of funny. I laughed. We had somebody else replying, I wish I had a dad. I'm like, man, me too. I didn't have a dad growing up, and that's part of the reason why I try to become as good a dad as I am. Somebody pointed out, and I'm like, I knew this, but it was kind of funny. They're like, people did actually eat mummies, and that's why they're so rare. And I'm like, yes, dude, that was so... Because I made a joke about the Ferrero Rocher. And this person pointed that out, that... people ate mummies, and I was like, oh my God, yes, that's one of the weird facts of history. It's like, why are you eating desiccated corpses? It doesn't make any sense to me. Lester Crest looking butt, dude. Hurtful. Somebody saying water white. White. Sorry, making fun of your typos. Walter White. That's one that I get. I've literally gotten the Walter White reference for so many times in my videos. It's like, I like him, I don't look like him. Not really, because that gentleman, he's far more distinguished looking than I am. So that was the comments for the last week. I'm gonna start to do that more for this episode, for this show, is we're gonna go over the comments, all the comments from last week, not just the ones from the specific community shows. Because, then it's a community show. It's supposed to be about the community, not about just one video. Discussing, of course, the whataboutism problem, I totally agree. It is a horrible tactic that people use because it's a distraction rather than anything else. But I did want to talk about one thing, one important topic that I wanted to talk about in regards to this series, and that is one life lesson that a lot of people will eventually learn, unfortunately, and it's a very painful thing to learn, is that you need to support the idea, not the person. Now, a lot of people are realizing this less from debates or politics or anything like that, more learning it from the sheer amount of old style YouTubers who have been proven to be horrible people. And as such, it's a matter of like, I know this is weird saying, but support the idea, not the person applies in this case, because it's like, yeah, okay, the content they make is kind of funny in some cases. It's kind of funny, but like for the most part, a lot of people end up idolizing the person behind the project. And I mean this as a person who's trying to get recognized and whatnot. It's like, I don't want people to look at me in that way. But in politics, in debate, when it comes to the idea over the person, it's far more important because we build up these people in our minds. We build up these big names. I forgot who my friend Creeper King there recommended. I'm sorry. I forgot who he recommended, but he pointed out some big name YouTuber. I guess he was shoot. I guess he was a libertarian. He's a libertarian style debate or politic discusser type. Man, I tell you what, I suck at remembering who anybody is on these things. It's like occasionally I'll see some political pundit or YouTuber pop up in my feed. I'll watch a couple of their videos. I'll be like, okay, interesting, and I'll move on. And I'm like, who was that? Because I mean, this is kind of how I live my life. Really, is by embracing the ideas, but not the people behind them. Because ultimately, the same with religion. People are flawed, and to put so much stock in the person rather than the ideas that they're spreading is the one thing that will always lead you to disappointment. So take your favorite political position and say, I like this position, I like this stance, and this people over here are supporting this stance, so I'm going to support these people rather than the idea itself. And then you end up focusing too much on the people, and then you find out those people have done pretty horrible things, but now you feel like you're invested in these people, so now you need to keep paying the mind to the people, and then you lose sight of the topic. And this, of course, is something that leads to some fallacies within debate and whatnot, i.e., sorry, one second, i.e., instead of discussing the topic or whatnot, or presenting like facts or stuff, people will point to a person and said, well, they said this, therefore this is correct. You know, the depending on which position it is, the appeal to authority fallacy or the ad populi fallacy, where people will talk and discuss the people who support the ideas rather than the ideas themselves. You know what I mean? Ad populi being it's a popular idea. A lot of people support this, therefore it is the correct idea. And appeal to authority fallacy, I'm kind of iffy on this one as a fallacy in and of itself, because appeal to authority, yes, you can point to a specific authority figure who has said or supported this thing. However, and that in and of itself is the fallacy, but if you point to the person and say these are the facts that they discovered and these are how they discovered it, then it's a different thing. You know what? A good example is Wikipedia. A lot of people say do not use Wikipedia as a source because it is editable and people will change things, and it's based on whether or not somebody actually knows. But of course there is a verification thing, blah blah blah. But at the bottom of every Wikipedia article, you will find the links, which is why I'd say that using Wikipedia as a source is actually a good thing, because you can go to Wikipedia, go down to the bottom, find the find the sources they list, and click on those and follow that and get the information off of that. Which is why the appeal to authority fallacy is not always a fallacy in my mind, because you look at the authority figure who talked about it, but then you can look at the information, the facts, and how he got to where he or she, I shouldn't be, how they got to the position that they hold. You know what I mean? Which is why I don't really always call that one a fallacy. To be fair, I wanted to talk about fallacies in and of themselves and how they don't always specifically equate to an actual fallacy, because it's only a fallacy when it leads to a fallacy. You know what I mean? A fault in your logic. So things like ad populi, this is popular because it's been proven to work. Therefore, saying everybody supports it, therefore it's good, is the fallacy. But if you say everybody supports this because it's good, is different. Know what I mean? Far too often where was I even on the topic at hand? My bad. Let's see. I didn't write myself a script for this one, so I'm floundering again, as I do, just basing all my information off of stuff that's rattling around in my head. So, what was I saying? Supporting the idea is far more important than supporting the person. And of course, there was the idea, like, people are fallible, people make mistakes, people are wrong on occasions. It makes a perfectly legitimate reason for not supporting the people over the idea. But another far more important one is that ideas will survive longer than the people who support them. For instance, a good example is me. I like the, I don't know, pick random topic. I like applesauce. I'm back to the apples again. Nice. I like applesauce. Applesauce is a great way of producing a fruit-based meal that will help you and make you feel healthier and give you the energy and the fiber that you need, right? Applesauce is great. I'm dead next week. Not from applesauce, though. But applesauce, as an idea, is going to live longer than I did. Applesauce is probably a bad idea, because applesauce isn't an idea, it's a tangible item. But you know what I mean. You know what I mean. I'm using an example. It's fine. But for example, as a good example there, applesauce is the idea is going to survive much longer than I do. I mean, heck, it is actually older than me. Let me see if we can actually find some information on that. The origins of applesauce is often associated with Central Europe, but the first written mention is found in an English cookbook, Complete Housewife, written by Elizabeth Smith in 1739. The sauce is also commonly prepared in the United States. Yes, those delightful little ruffians and rapscallions across the pond there. But yeah, so, wow, that's interesting to know. But remember, just because that's the first time it was seen written down doesn't mean it was the first time it was made, because often things are made prior to such and such. But ultimately, my biggest problem with people who support the person over the idea is that they often become blinded with partisan situations. My partisan is my party is better than your party. My people are better than your people, and will often even dismiss certain problems with the people because they support the idea that I like, therefore they are good people, sort of thing. And they will ignore faults and stuff. And we saw this sort of thing. I'm not going to bring that up because that wasn't even a bit too close to politics. That just was politics. And we see this sort of thing play out in real life far too often, where people will defend to the death the people that they support rather than the ideas that they support. And unfortunately, this leads to a lot of, just the problems we see in the world these days. But there you have it. That's the best I can manage for this episode, because I didn't write a script for it. But next episode, we'll be looking at just more stuff back on topic of me or the channel, as it were. And I wanted to thank everyone who did enjoy these videos. I'm thinking about going back to my original channel and making a kind of a variety, like, topic channel, just things to talk about. And I don't know if I'll do that, but I want to. I'm thinking about it, I should say, and we'll see how that works out. But anyway, we have announcements for today, carried on with Resident Evil Code Veronica. I'm not done with it yet, but like I'm at a point where I'm worried that I'm not going to be able to finish it, at least not properly, because I actually ran out of ammo on a boss, and I'm like, well, that's not good. So I'm going to have to go back into... I might end up just restarting the whole game and playing it from the beginning to where I am now, and playing that. But for now, I'm not going to do anything like that. I'm just kind of worried. I'm going to see what happens, like if I'm going to actually be able to beat it or not. Apart from that, I finished the DLC for Little Nightmares, and I'm going to start Little Nightmares 2 next. And we actually should start Little Nightmares 2 by the end of the week. But this channel is going to be reverting basically back to just gaming content, and this show based on like a community show where I catch up with y'all and we talk about things and how life is going and announcements and whatnot. So yeah, don't worry about random politics stuff popping up, random debate topics popping up again. Sorry, there's not going to be an additional gaming video this week. We have the highlights for a couple previous weeks of gaming, because I was supposed to put that up on Saturday, but then I completely ran out of energy and felt like, I didn't want to do anything that day. And I was like, I'll just put it up on Sunday. And then Sunday, I just completely forgot about it, and I feel kind of bad about that. But today, it's going up. And yeah, so... But anyway, apart from all that, that's going to be it for me for today. Thank you all so much for joining me for this episode of The Community Show. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And if you did, just go and poke that like button for me. If you'd like to see more from me, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And of course, as always, you're more than welcome to leave a comment in the comment section down below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. When I can, if I can, you know all that jazz. And tune in next time for another topic and another time. And until then, good night.